back to another episode of the One Micronesia Show. And for this one, I'm excited for the show. I'm a bit bittersweet though in the beginning because I get to sit down with a longtime friend, Miss Samantha Titano, the executive director of Menyetlu, to talk about her experiences and the things that she went through for over the 5 years that she took over Menyetlu, and also to talk about what she's doing next as she's stepping down as the executive director. Let's get on with that one. We're here with the one and the only Sam Titano, the executive director of Menyetlu. I was tasked to do a sit down and to kind of like to go back in time a little bit. We do know that you've recently made a decision to step down from your current position as the executive director of Menyetlu, and knowing what we've gone through over the years, the partnerships that we had with KUAM and the podcasts and the 5Ks and the youth forums. We've done so much over the years. The team here wanted me to sit down with you and just to kind of catch up and kind of go back and then come back all the way to the present time and to see how has things been with you. So let's start there. We always go back in time. So Sam, tell us more about how you got into Big Brothers Big Sisters back then and then now Menyetlu.
Okay, so I'll take us really far back and then you can take liberties with the editing. I first came back to Guam after serving in the Peace Corps, and I was here just for what I thought was going to be a short amount of time, but I ended up getting a job, and once I started to get settled, I knew that I wanted to get back involved with the community. And so I had, volunteered doing like a fundraiser for Habitat for Humanity, but then I wanted to do something where I was making more impact on individuals and like being able to see that. And so I found the Big Brothers Big Sisters of Guam program. And so I actually started as a mentor, a big with the organization. And then I think it hadn't even been a year about me being a big, I found out that the executive director position was open. And for me, I was just like, the most they can do is say no, right? So might as well just try. Fortunately, they said yes. And so I was given the position in 2018. When I started on with Big Brothers Big Sisters of Guam at the time, the board already knew that they were looking to localize the program and sort of transition out of, being affiliated with Big Brothers Big Sisters of Guam, knowing that our programs had already started expanding. We already had the Micronesian Resource Center one-stop shop. It was just sort of, getting off of the ground at that time. I was tasked with the transition, and so it was really exciting. Yeah, I started in April of 2018. By November of 2018, we had transitioned to Menyetlu and had rebranded the organization, and yeah, so that's pretty much how I started with Menyetlu.
Wow. I mean, talk about, getting in, and especially with anything like an organization, when it's things are okay, when things are flowing in the right direction, there's a status quo that we're following, but things kind of tend to get harder when there's a transition to change things around, like change the view, change the way that the organization wants to go. And you were literally there, you were literally at the helm when things were changing. Talk about that and talk about, how things, because right now, and I remember when you guys first started, and of course I got to know you through Ed, and when I got to know you and Ed and the team, it was just a very small, was it 4, 3?
It was less than 10 people at the time. Mm-hmm. It was maybe around 7 or 8. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow. And so let's talk about that transition, because it's not only, of course, we have the Micronesian one-stop shop, but then also there's the Menyetlu part of it where, the Big Brothers, Big Sisters part. So talk about how that transition went.
So the transition went really well. We knew that we had to make sure that we were kind of getting out there. And so we did a really big push about making sure that people understood what our organization was about, and that we, how we had transitioned, and that this transition was really going to be something for the better for the organization and then in turn for the community. And so, we did everything from, of course, the typical press releases to waves on the side of the street, with the Micronesian Resource Center's band there, and we had brought some of the kids and stuff. So it was really good. what was most important to me was making sure that I had the existing leaders on board with it as well. So Ed, as you mentioned, and then also Nori, they were kind of the two leaders that were in the organization. So we kind of went through this nonprofit improvement plan so that we could really align everything. And then, after that, we had a retreat with the entire team to kind of show them okay, this is sort of where the organization is going. Because it's always important to make sure that you have your team on board, right? Mm-hmm. You can't just lead and say, okay, let's, I'm coming in, we're gonna do this, right? It's making sure that we kept the team what it was, right? A team.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I mean, and I've followed you guys since day one when we first started with the different partnerships that we had through KUAM, and it was the time you guys brought me on as to kind of take a 5-part series from a 5-minute five-part series and turn it into something longer, a 30-minute talk with the different individuals. That's how I got involved, and that's how we got close, and we got to do all these amazing things. So I'm going to talk about the different the accomplishments that you've seen the organization took on after you jumped on.
Yeah, so I mean, of course, the rebranding was a huge thing, localizing it, making sure that 100% of the money that is donated to us and raised goes straight back into our programs and stays here on island, right? That's kind of the most important thing. Is there's so much need in our community that we wanted to make sure that anything that's ever donated to us stays here. And then, the start of when we were going to, I believe it was 2019, yes. Right? Mm-hmm. In 2019, when we were going to, there was just a lot of stuff that was in the news, and we wanted to lead up to our One Healthy Micronesia 5K, that's for the Micronesian Resource Center. We really wanted to highlight, the good things that people throughout the region that are now here on Guam are doing. And so that's really where our partnership started with the One Micronesia. Mm-hmm. And it started off as those little segments, and I thought it was just such a beautiful way to start highlighting things and changing the narrative and changing the way that people think, right? So I definitely think that that's been a huge highlight, and the work that we do around that, and the continual work that we do to promote that, and to promote integration, and to promote unity within the island. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, so that was a huge accomplishment. Also, I mean, you mentioned earlier, when we first met, there was maybe 8 of us, mm-hmm. and we're now a team of 30. Wow. We're a team of 30. We have, we have 2 offices. We have multiple programs that reach out to kids, reach out to parents, or even just adults, and then families in general. And so just the expansion of our programs, and also always keeping in mind our mission, right? Mm-hmm. We never stray away from the mission. We're just building onto it, really seeing what are the needs within the community. Mm-hmm. And from there, thinking about, okay, how can we shape a new program, or how can we adjust an existing program to meet those needs? So.
You're right, and I want to take it back to 2019, because for me, that's where I got involved, and it was very emotional then. And so, jumping on, back then when I was brought up about the opportunity to make a change in the community. This was days after the machete attacks. Yes. in Manilao. So to me, it was something that I've always wanted to do in my career, but didn't know how to do it. So big thanks to you and Paul Tapao and our former news director for really sitting down and seeing and asking the question, what more can be done? And I think that's where we kind of got onto this whole journey as One Micronesia, and here we are today. And I've also wanted to tell you this. Right when I met you, and it's been years and years, and we got so busy that it's always this one thing that rolls in my head, right? Like during that time in 2019, we were getting a lot of I would say you feel it, and as somebody who's living on Guam and who moved to Guam to find growth, I've always saw that there was a bigger this hate that was coming from our community here on Guam as well. So seeing, when I found out that you were from Guam, born and raised, you're a daughter of Guam, who took on this role that really at that time nobody wanted to, like, why should we do this for this community who's here in Guam? And it's really, they're not really doing much, but you took up that that position and that role and said, no, there's a lot more that we can do in the community, and this is not just for me or for the Guam community or for the FSM community, it's for Micronesia as a whole. So talk about that, and how was it for you? Was it a hard decision, or was it something like, no, let's do it?
No, it was an easy decision, you know. I don't know, just kind of like looking at it, especially from the outside, it's like, I feel like a lot of times, like, hate and all of this negativity, it stems from fear and lack of knowledge, right? And it's so, what was most important was making sure, like, no, like, right now we're only seeing one side of the way things are, and that's not the full picture, you know. And I don't know, I've always had love for everyone, and my hope is always just like to see people succeed. And, you know, working with the team that we have, you know, there's like stories about, you know, things that have happened in their lives that they share that are just very unjust and hateful and cruel. And so being able to uplift people who are feeling that way, who are being marginalized for just stereotypes, right? And for one person's actions is now reflecting on an entire group of people. It's just very unfair. And so it's important to share all sides of the stories, and you know, what it is change, right? And everybody hates change and reacts to change in all different kinds of ways, right? And so it's more of like, okay, how do we ease these changes so that everybody can feel comfortable and can be respectful of each other?
All right, guys, we're going to take a break, but when we come back, we're going to go back into that conversation with Sam and talk about what she has going on next after she steps down as the executive director. We'll be right back. One Micronesia Show, and we are back. Now let's get back into that conversation with Samantha Titano and find out what she has got next coming up. So now it's kind of going back to talk about the team that you built, the beautiful, amazing, super talented, hardworking team that you built. And you talk about they come from every inch of Micronesia, and they're working under you. And so talk about them and talk about the things that you've learned as you work. You talk about, you know, because you did say like you've heard stories, and what are some of the beautiful things that you've got to learn from all these amazing individuals?
Oh my gosh. So yeah, we have a beautiful team that is so passionate about the work that we do. And it has been such an honor to work with them, because they're, you know, a lot of people talk about our workplace culture because the people that are at Manyetlu are happy, you know, and they really enjoy the work that they do. And we've created a space for people to feel comfortable and to do things that need to do the work that needs to get done. And so just, I mean, over the past 5 years, like, I've learned everything from, you know, different things about culture. You know, when you really sit down and you start to talk about those things. Just a couple months ago, I think we had lunch, and Keisha was just like asking me like a bunch of different questions about like what are my thoughts, or like what are some of our traditions, right? And so it's really been that ability to share like what are our different cultures, and then seeing like what are the similarities, what are the differences, and just like really celebrating, like being like, oh, like that's something very similar to what we do, and then also being like, wow, like that's really interesting then and unique that that's something that you guys do. And then even within all of the islands, you know, all of the islands have their own special, you know, way that they're doing things. And so that's been a really big joy. And then of course, you know, being able to understand a little bit more about the reasons why people do the things that they do, right? You know, I know that, you know, one of like the big things, and I hope that it's not something that people think anymore when it comes to eye contact, right? You know, where they're like, oh, you know, it's disrespectful for them to, you know, to look someone directly in the eyes, right? And so, but maybe someone here who grew up here feels like it's disrespectful that they're not, right? And so, just like being able to understand some of like the small, like little things that are just really, people are just trying to show each other respect, right? And that it's just like a huge misunderstanding, And then some of the heartbreaking things are just hearing about sometimes the way people are treated, like for no reason aside from the way that they look. And it's really sad to say, but racism is still here. Discrimination is still here. And what I'm so proud about my team is that they continue to work through that and work towards empowering people, both people who are coming from the other islands and then people here. Like they're willing to talk to people, and especially if somebody says something that might be offensive or is incorrect, like they are more than willing and happy to talk to people and share things and hopefully try to change what people are thinking about, But yeah, our team is so great. Like they're so passionate and they work so well together on all of the different things. I mean, we always have 1,000,001 things going on, and they're excited about all of them.
Let's talk about it. We talked about how it all started. You built an amazing, beautiful, strong, hardworking team, and now the decision came down. And so talk about that and talk about, because I know that people have questions like, oh, what happened, this and that. So right now it's you and the camera, and just tell us what's next for you and things like that.
So it's definitely bittersweet. Manyetlu's my baby. I only want to see it succeed. I only want to see it grow, thrive. I only want to see my team continue to grow and thrive. But it's been 5 years, and it's just kind of becoming a time for me to take a bigger part, in helping out with my family, and so. I have all of the intention in the world to still be around for Manyetlu and eventually sit on the board, once we find a new director. But it's time for me to refocus my priorities right now. But also, I think it's also time for new ideas, new leadership. Right now, Manyetlu is a very well-oiled machine that is like running like all of our leaders. I said 2 people earlier. We have many more leaders now because we have grown all of our projects. But everybody is sort of like running their projects. The admin staff is great, and so really, I think it's a great opportunity because everything is rolling for someone to kind of come in, look at things, and be like, okay, like, this is working well, but what are the new ideas for the future, right? You always have to have that growth mindset, and I think that giving them the opportunity to have new ideas come in is only going to benefit the organization.
Awesome. Yeah. And Sam, like I said, you only said 5 years, but the work that you've done in 5 years, for me, it seems like a work that somebody did in 10 or 20. You took all of that, smushed it all together, and all that happened within 5 years because of the amazing leadership under you and the team that you built, the team that you trust, and the team that you feel comfortable working with. And I think that's what you talked about, this machine that's oiled and ready to go, and that's what it is. So Sam, thank you so much. Before we close out here, I want you to look at that camera, and I want you to talk to your team. I'm not here, it's just you and your team. What do you want to tell them? What do you want to tell them?
Oh my gosh, okay. So to my team, I am immensely honored that I have been able to lead you through these past 5 years. There's been a lot of ups and downs. We went through an entire pandemic, and you all never stopped working. We had our fair share of tragedies within the organization, and you all pushed through because you knew that Ed and Shannon would be so proud of the work that you guys were doing and would want you guys to continue. And oh my gosh, yeah. I am also just so proud of the people that you are all developing into. I have seen some of you start off in admin positions and are now project coordinators, caseworker positions, and now you're project directors, project assistants, and now you're coordinators. So I've seen a lot of you grow over these past couple years, and I know that there's more growth for you all in the future, and I hope that you all continue to have those good hearts that I know you have, and continue to do the work with passion. I know you guys all know my phone number, so it's not like I'm disappearing. And I have all of the intentions in the world to become a mentor again and then be on the board. So you're not getting rid of me just yet. So I'm still going to be around, and even if you don't see me, I'm always cheering for you all.
Sam, that pretty much wraps this up. I just want to say on behalf of all of us here at KYM, we're with partnerships, the years that we've worked together, and especially for me. I think I said, like, when we met, we were just, just a team just trying to collab, and 5 years later today, I don't see you as somebody I work with, but I also see as somebody that I can call a sister, a Micronesian sister. So thank you so much for all that you did, and good luck to whatever's next endeavor, and we hope nothing but the best for you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sam.
We're gonna hug after this.
We are gonna hug. Thank you. You know what?
Yeah,
let's bring it in.
I know.
Thank you.
It's been such a good 5 years.
It has been.
Whew,
What a crazy 5. Well, that pretty much wraps it, guys. The one-on-one edition on the One Micronesia Show, and we'll be right back. Wow, holding back tears, how was hard, and it's gonna be hard. But the 5 years that you've been and we've worked together, Sam, thank you so much on behalf of everybody here at KYM and all the things that we've done in this whole 5 years. Thank you so much for that, and we wish you a good luck on whatever is next that you got. Take care of the family, take care of yourself, and just hit us up when you need anything, all right? We're gonna miss you so much, Sam. Guys, we're gonna take a break and we'll be back with more of the One Micronesia Show. One Micronesia Show, and we are back. Remember Mark Harmony, the boys from the Marshall Islands who live all the way out in Arkansas? Yeah, I think you remember them. I had them on for the One Mic Jam Sesh last episode. But here's the thing. These boys have lived out in the States for all their lives, but never been to the Marshall Islands. But good thing, because Voices Rising, a organization that's helping build and put out music out of the Marshall Islands, is bringing them back to the Marshall Islands for the first time. Check it out.
It feels kind of really surreal because I've always thought of going back. It all just seems like a dream that's just like inches away, I feel like.
This is what we were brought together for, to stand up for our people, our heritage, our community.
Getting the chance to go to the islands, man, for the first time, it's gonna be really special.
Would be a different kind of experience, and one that I'll never forget.
The lagoon, ringed by small islands, is 21 miles long. Small and remote, it's just the place, they say, for the next atom bomb. Inhabitants have been taken away, transferred to another coral island, and given new homes.
The Marshall Islands are among the nations of the Pacific facing the most severe threat from rising sea levels.
Well, welcome back. We wanted to fill the show with holiday cheer, and to help us with that, we have Mark Harmony. You guys think this is...
In the summer of 2020, a friend introduced us to the up-and-coming a cappella group, Mark Harmony, and we were blown away by their vocal talent and passion.
Mark Harmony is a Marshallese boy band of 4 musically talented, goofy individuals.
We realized like we can help others, become who they want to be.
In just 10 days, we worked side by side to bring their message of hope and positivity for Pacific Islanders to life. But this is just the beginning of their journey. Now our hope is to follow Mark Harmony's musical journey through the Marshall Islands as they collaborate with other Marshallese artists, explore the impacts of climate change, nuclear testing, and make music that will tell the story of their people.
When people hear music, they actually listen.
Once we started doing our thing, it's just like nothing could stop us. We just kept doing it.
Saye. 1, 2, 3, 4. Mark it.
Wow, the boys are finally back on their motherland, the Marshall Islands. Mark Harmony, Voices Rising. Man, well, that project isn't even over. They're still filming right at this moment. So I can't wait to see the end product. I've talked to the boys and they'll send it over right when it's done. But man, I can't wait. Like I said, welcome back home to the Mark Harmony boys. Voices Rising, keep up with what you're doing because you guys are doing an amazing job. We're gonna take a break and we're back with more of the One Micronesia Show. One Micronesia Show, and we are back. And to close off the show, we always do with the One Mic Jam Sesh. You ready? Mountain Boys!
Yo, it's 303, baby. Yeah, yeah. I'm moving, moving. Feels like we're on another level, girl. Feels like our love's intertwined now. We can be two rebels, breaking the rules. Me and you and I. All you gotta do is watch me. Look what I can do with my feet, girl. We got it inside. I'm driving, you can take that front seat. I just needed you to trust me. Yeah. It's like I waited my whole life for this one night. It's gonna be me on the dance floor. It's like I waited my whole life for this one night. Hey, gonna be me on the dance floor. Little boo in the Monday, in the bathing suit, she chillin' right by the pool. Bed Vegas, everything Mr. Raiders. She wish they never moved from the bay though. Her sign is a Virgo. Say that she smoke, but she don't know how to roll though. The homies love it when I bring her around, cause she know how to hold. She worth it, she belong on the surface. She belong with me. She just wants someone to keep it 100. She wanna rerun one after one. She said, Rebel, I'll tattoo your name. Promise I won't give this loving away. Told her, baby, I'm not afraid. Tell by the look on my face that I'm moving. I'm moving, moving, moving. I'm moving, moving. I'm moving, moving. It's like I waited my whole life for this one night. It's gonna be me on the dance floor. It's like I waited my whole life for this one night. Hey, gonna be me on the dance floor.
Wow, what a jam-packed show. Our bittersweet conversation with Sam, which I will cherish forever, onto the story of the boys from the Marshall Islands, from bringing them back home, to ending the show with amazing music from the Mountain Boys. That was awesome. And that pretty much wraps up your episode 4 of the One Micronesia Show.